Do you want to take an international test like TOEFL or IELTS? Do you want your writings to impress other people? Are you fed up of writing simple sentences all the time? Do you want to write outstanding paragraphs or essays? If your answer is yes for all these questions, then your solution is writing different types of sentences according to structure. Hello and welcome back to Zahid's English Club. Today we are going to learn different types of sentences and different types of structures in writing. And before that, we have to answer this question, that why it is necessary to use those structures and write different types of sentences in our essays and paragraphs. So let's find out the reasons. One of the reasons that you have to write different types of sentences and use different structures in your writings is that it will be boring if you write the same types of sentences and use the same tone of sentences in your writings. So it is better to use different structures to keep attracted the reader and keep the reader interested in your writing. But if you write the same structures, the same sentences all the time in your paragraphs or essays, the reader will be bored and he or she will quit and stop reading your writings. On the other hand, if you want to be an advanced user of English language, you don't have to convince yourself with basic structures. Advanced levels use both simple sentences and complex sentences in their writings. So you have to understand different types of sentences if you want to become an advanced user of English language. Also, if you're planning to take an international test like IELTS, you will definitely need to have the ability of writing different structures in your essays, because one of the criteria that examiners are looking for is that whether you're using different structures and different sentence types in your essay or not. So if you're taking the test, you have to master this scale. And the last reason, not only in writing, generally, if you want to be a good user of English and show off in this language while reading, speaking, and listening, definitely you will need to understand and use simple, compound, and complex structures. Okay, now that we know the importance of using different structures in English, we have to learn them. So let's get started. According to structure, we have got 4 types of sentences, which are simple sentence, compound, complex, and compound complex sentences. So let's get started with the very first one, which is simple sentences. A simple sentence consists of an independent clause, which means it has a subject and a verb and conveys a complete idea and a complete meaning. For example, she lives in the United States. He can sing beautifully. We are learning English. These are all the examples of simple sentences, which are so simple and easy. So simple sentences are simple as their names. So now let's jump into compound sentences. Compound sentences are sentences which consist of 2 or more independent clauses joined together by a coordinating conjunction. For example, I like basketball, but my brother prefers football. Okay, we have come far away, and now it's time for the third type of sentence, which is complex sentences. It's the place that most of people get scared of it, but it's not scary. It's simple if you just have the knowledge and have the technique. So let's get familiar with complex sentences. A complex sentence consists of 1 independent clause and 1 dependent clause. The condition is here to have at least 1 dependent clause to make a complex sentence. Without that, we are not able to render out a complex sentence. For example, after I finish my work, I will go to gym. And here, after I finish my work is the dependent clause, which means it cannot stand alone by itself. So it's dependent on independent clause. and I will go to James is the independent clause, which conveys a complete thought and complete idea by itself. Let's consider another example. She cried because she failed the test. And here, she cried is a simple sentence or an independent clause, which is conveying and giving a complete thought or idea. But because she failed the test is a dependent clause. Look at here and notice that we are not using any comma here because we used the independent clause at the beginning and the dependent clause is in the last. So she cried because she failed the test is a complex sentence. So brilliant. We have come far away, and the only type which is lifting is compound complex sentences. And after that, you will have the power and the ability to use them in your writings and in your essays. So without any further ado, let's get started with compound complex sentences. Compound complex sentences are a little bit tricky, but don't worry, I have made them easier for you. Compound complex sentences are combination of compound and complex sentences. But you don't have to learn them like this. You have to learn them like this one. When you have a combination of two independent clauses and at least one dependent clause, you have got a compound complex sentence. For example, although he was tired, he stayed up late to finish his assignment and he submitted it on time. And here we have got two independent clauses and one dependent clause. Although he was tired is the dependent clause. He stayed up late is the independent clause, and he submitted it on time is the another independent clause. They are all joined together to render out a compound complex sentence. Well done. We are done with types of sentences according to structure. And now you have the power to use them in your essays and your writings. If you were familiar with types of sentences but you were not confident, now by the end of this lesson, you feel confident about them. So thank you so much for watching up to this point. If you really liked this video and learned something from it, please give it a big like and subscribe to my channel. Stay tuned. I will be back with another huge lesson. Goodbye.